All right. Thank you for tuning in to the Mantalk podcast. I am your host, Derek D. Brooks, aka the Man Coach, and I'm here with a very, very great friend who has become a brother of mine. We call it brother from another mother. Uh,
Yes, we are.
my great friend Rabih Adoukheir, and I'm just going to let him tell you all about himself. And you're going to be very, very, very inspired by his story. Um, I think Rabih, we've been knowing each other for what? Uh,
2, 3 years now. Three
yeah,
years, three
yeah,
years.
we met
Yeah.
at an event, I guess a social event,
Yep.
networking event, and we've been hanging ever since. We've been hanging ever since. So help me welcome my good friend Rabih. Rabih, man, what's up, man?
Not much, bro. Just enjoying this snowed in weather week that we've got going on over here. I have a
It's
lot of
crazy.
time to like sit down and think and write and come up with great new ideas.
It's crazy,
So
right?
it's
This
been a
snow is
great week.
yeah, yeah. Whoever thought that we would have this much snow here in Arkansas?
This is why I left Michigan.
Well, you brought it.
I know, man. I
Yeah,
know. Been here for 2 years and did not miss it a single day. 3 years I've been here and never missed it. And now we get this.
yeah. We get record snowfall now.
I know, man.
Yeah, we get record snowfall. So, do you believe it? Do you believe now in the groundhog?
Man, I think I do. The groundhog like really got us hard this year.
Yeah, yeah. He warned us, right? He warned
I
us and
know.
tried to tell us this is what it was going to be all about. So, man, thank you for coming on to the show, man. We've been trying to do this for quite some time. Schedules just wouldn't link up, and so now we're here. And I'm excited to have you. You know, I've told you plenty of times about how I'm just impressed with this story, and we're going to jump right on into it. So share with the so let me just give you a heads up of what the Man Talk is about. Man Talk is just a platform for men to come and share their stories, man. And I seek out men that are positive and who are real, and men that I can have real conversations with, and I get real results after I finish talking with you. So that's what this platform is all about. Uh, real reaching millions through this podcast, and I'm grateful to have you on the show. So, man, talk to us about your story, man. Where you know, from how you got here, because you're not from here, right? Are you from?
No, I'm not.
Okay,
Obviously you can probably tell from my accent that I was not like born and raised in the South or even here really.
okay,
I was born and raised in Beirut, Lebanon. And I came to America in 2006, about 15 years ago. April 3rd will be my 15th year anniversary
all right.
landing in America. Yeah, man. I first
15.
lived in Hilton Head Island. Then I lived Charleston, in Miami, in Atlanta, in Ann Arbor area, and then now in Arkansas. So I throughout my travels and different jobs and occupations and meeting people, I was able to gather a whole lot of education pretty much and be able to implement it in my life.
Cool. So what brought you to the US? Like, was it family? How did you wind up here?
No, I actually I first came to the US on an internship program. I grew up as a bartender. I was always working behind bars and nightclubs and uh, speakeasies in Beirut, Lebanon, and I wanted to. School was never really for me. I hated school. I did not want to do college or anything really. So there
Right.
was this internship program in hospitality to America, to Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. So I signed up on it and got my visa, and before I know it, I was in Hilton Head Island, South Carolina, which
And never
is like a mini paradise.
and never looked back.
Yeah, man. I was supposed to be here for 4 months total, and
Uh,
then the same week I was supposed to be flying back home is when the airport runway in Beirut got bombed. I was like 20 years old at that time.
wow.
The airport runway got bombed, and I was stuck in America. I was like 20 years old. I had no money, no place to live. My visa expired. No food, no job, no papers. I could barely speak English at that time too, which still working on it. But
So you
uh,
you talk about no food, no shelter. So how did you survive? Like, what was the game plan?
man, like I had like I was not planning to stay here to begin with, but I ended up here. So first thing I did was like start hitting up all of my uh, friends and amigos and everybody who's got a job for me. I worked in everything, man. I started working in bars and restaurants again. I mean, that was a great. It was a great time back then to work under the table, and get back on your feet and worked in construction and you name it. I did everything until I was able to get back on my feet and get started.
So and I, of course, I know your story, and so where did the work habit come from? Because you talk about all the where the work habit and where did the drive come from? Would you say with the accomplishments that you have now, and we're going to talk about all of those later, everything started with that as your drive, like having that type of lifestyle, growing up that type of way, that type of struggle.
Man, I think every person will dig deep inside and they will find their own. But I think for me, I don't know. I was born in a small, very poor family, growing up in Beirut, Lebanon. I was born in civil war. It was always like a fight to get really anything, your basic needs. It was always very hard to get the bare minimum growing up. I'm the oldest in my family as well, so I always had to take care of my younger ones too. And you know, knowing knowing like deep inside that you've got people counting on you and you can't really disappoint them, and you want to give them a better life and education and have them buy cars and houses. And I think it comes from being able to take care of others first, so you put the work in and make it happen.
Yeah. Uh, would you? I mean, that is beautiful, and I think when you are the oldest in the family, you do tend to get that pressure
Yeah,
to make sure that everybody is running like they're supposed to be, like a well-oiled machine, making sure all the needs are met as much as you can. And
yeah,
I'm sure as a man, you being a husband, um, having that on your shoulders, I'm sure that's a lot of weight. But that's what we do. That's what we do as men. We do that, and we try to make sure that everybody is pretty much up to par and breathing, and
absolutely.
being able to move forward. You've been successful in a lot of things, that pretty much everything you do. Starting with the bartending. Talk to us about that.
Man, I loved that business. It's not the business of putting together a Jack and Coke or a vodka Red Bull. When you I start that was my first job ever. I was 15 years old. I started like working behind the bars in Beirut, Lebanon, and I really liked the business as a business itself.
Mhm.
Uh, by the time I was 19 years old, I was going to competitions, bartending competitions. There's no really drinking age in Lebanon, so I always worked in bars and was able to go out and see all kind of crazy things
Mhm.
at a very young age. When I came to America, I still fell back on it because it's a great business and you make a lot of money working behind bars too, especially in places like Hilton Head Island or Atlanta. And I learned a lot working in bars, mainly talking to people, reading people, being able to communicate with people. And one of the biggest attributes that I can add to what I'm doing right now is the ability to spread the cheer. It's one of the biggest things that you can do in any business, being able to like spread the cheer. And as a bartender, that's what you're doing every night behind the bar, while keeping a smile on without anybody telling or being able to notice what's going on in your life.
Mhm.
So uh, I love that business as a business. I was able to create some great bars, great brands, create some great cocktail menus, great cocktails. Man, I loved it.
Good. And so would you say that I guess your bartending experience made you more comfortable with talking with people and has brought you success uh, from bartending?
Absolutely, man. So the way I looked at it, I was like, man, all right. So I'm working behind this bar. First, I'm from overseas. I know nothing about politics, which I still don't. I don't do politics. I don't do sports.
Hey
You know,
man, hey,
I may work out
every
every
married
day.
every married man is a politician, whether you know it or not.
That,
You know politics. You don't know government, but you got politics down.
yes, that's true.
If you got a wife and you got children, you are a politician, man.
Through that.
Yeah, they don't tell us that
So
until we get into it.
So
But go
that's
ahead.
how I looked at it. I was like, man, I'm not really pretty savvy on what goes down here and what people are watching and doing. So I gotta find a way to make money working behind these bars and bartending, other than talking about politics or sports. And found it in relating to people. And I focused on that, and that's what set me apart from anybody else. I mean, I could be working in the same bar with somebody who's been doing it for 20 years here, and I stepped in and I've walked out with nights over $800-900 day shift,
Mhm.
you know, just from being able to talk to people and relate to them on a personal, you know, level with nothing.
Yeah. So what are some of the success you've had in bartending? Because you've managed from small groups of people to what's the largest group of people you've been able to manage?
After my military deployment, I was in the army as well for like 6 years. But after that deployment, I went back to the bar business, and I started working for a company out of Atlanta. I was managing restaurants and bars inside the airport. Did well over there, so they promoted me to take on a bigger project, which opening a whole bunch of restaurants and bars on in Detroit Airport. A team and myself went up there, and we were able to open about like 14 different brands in 2.5 years
Mm,
inside McNamara Airport.
wow.
And yeah,
For
and
those of you that don't know, this is the guy that's part of that. Is the bar still there in Atlanta?
yes, they're all there,
There you
all
go.
there.
This is Black History.
I'm going next week to Atlanta, and I'll probably be stopping by each and every one of those bars in the airport.
Good deal. That's great stuff, man. It's great stuff. So
Yeah.
let's talk about some of the things that you're doing. You're working on. I mean, you're a busy guy, and you got a lot of irons in the fire. And
A
so
lot.
let's talk about that. I mean, what do you got going now?
Man, well, as far as me personally, my job, you know, my real job, super busy. I'm blessed. Last year was a record-breaking year. It was my second year in mortgage, and I've finished with 217 closings. And I'm
200.
trending.
Hold on now. We can't breeze by that. 217 closings, and you only been a loan officer. How long?
That 2020 was my second year in business.
Second year in business. So you got to talk to us about that. How does all this happen within 2 years, bro?
Man, well, you know, I came to Little Rock, and I wanted to get out of the restaurant business because in Little Rock, it's kind of like non-existent at the level and the scale that I was operating at. And I wanted to find something that will keep me in touch with people and with real estate, because I started flipping properties since 2014 as a hobby on the side. So I got into mortgage, and you know, just like every whole new career, it was like confusing for me. I was kind of like lost. I started at a place where it was not the best place for me until I moved to where I am right now. in 2019, mid 2019, and I decided to when I first got into it, man, I was very confused, and I didn't know where to start really. Uh, but after a few months in the business, I set my mind straight, and I was like, "Hey, man, uh, if it is to be, it is up to me." And I set my plan, decided how I want to build my business and who I want to work with more
Mhm.
than anything. And my business took off, man. 2019, about 9 months in business, I closed about $10 million worth of business. In 2020, closed 43 million.
Wow.
And that's from picking who I want to work with. I did not want to work with everybody, and that's, I think, what made the biggest difference in my job.
Mhm.
As as a loan officer, every loan officer chasing after everybody. I was like, you know what? Uh, I can't do that. I can't do that. So I decided who I want to work with, and that's how I built my business on. Like, if I don't like you and you're not going to be my friend after I get out of this business, we're not working together. And
Ah,
that's how I built my business.
that's a great key. That's a great key.
Yep,
And I remember you telling me that uh, when we sat down and talked, and you were sharing with me how if you don't feel like you can invite them into your home after the transactions or after the deals are made, then you don't work with them. And I think
absolutely.
that's a that's a real that's a real key to keep in mind. Uh,
Hmm.
that, where do the drive come from? Because you're not only successful in the banking, but you also have some other things that you're doing outside of that. Uh, Talk to us about that. What else are you doing? Like I can run the list. You're an investor.
Man, yeah, I have rental properties. I always have one of those like historic homes that I'm working on and flipping. I'm building a farm. Hopefully, in by 2022, I will be sending lamb chops on the meat market. I have a few more things that I'm working on as well.
Mhm.
So you know, I I put down on my list 7 things to have by the time I'm 40, which those 7 things are income producing activities or sources of income without my mortgage job. Like, if I stopped working in 5 years,
Mhm.
I want to be making money from 7 different sources. And I'm at three,
Yeah.
about to start the fourth one now. So 3 years, 4 years from now, I
Uh-huh.
should be at 7 income producing uh, sources
So
without me having to have a job.
so talk to us about why that's important because people, guys don't understand the importance of having multi streams of income that is producing, and we tend to work on one job and it works us to death, and it literally works us unto death, and we retire from that job to get a watch and a jacket, and then you can't spend the money. By the time you get a chance to retire, you cannot spend the money. And so talk to us about why it's important. Why do you feel like it's important for you as a man to have those other streams of income?
Man, well, I think it goes back to like my upbringing and where I come from. I never had the I want to say the luxury of maybe quitting a job or stopping to work growing up or really anything. And I was like, you know what? I want to create my own freedom. And freedom is not really financially. It's freedom is that, like, hey, if my boss walked in today and said, you know what, we don't like you anymore. I'm like, cool, man. I can be making the same amount of money while I'm staying at home. I'm here because I love my job,
Yep.
not because I need it. I want to be here, not
Mm-hmm.
because I need it.
Mm-hmm.
That alone is priceless. Nobody have anything over your head. And that's the thing when I tell my friends and family, like, hey man, you gotta invest in something. You gotta, I started, buying real estate and creating businesses.
How
When
old
you
were
buy,
you? How old were you when you bought your first property?
oh, I was like 20, 27, 28.
How old were you when
When I
you
was,
How old were you when you flipped your first property?
oh, that was my first flip
That
too.
was your first flip.
And same year, I bought a house where I lived in, and I flipped the house too.
So a lot of guys think also they hear this, but they feel like, oh, he's got a lot of money. He had to have a lot of money when he started flipping at 26. There's no way I could flip a house at 26. What do you say to that?
Man, if you're waiting to get the resources, you're always gonna be poor. You're either resourceful or not.
Stop. We gotta breathe. We gotta breathe that in. We gotta take that in. Say that
Yeah,
again. Say that
I mean,
again.
and that's what I thought. Like, I never had the resources, but you gotta be resourceful. You
Wow.
gotta find a way to break through. You do your first house, you can rent it, you sell it after a while, you get the
Mhm.
money, you can buy two, you can buy
Mhm.
four, you can buy three, you can buy one, or invest in something else. But always keep moving forward. That's the main key.
Yeah. That's man. I'm gonna take that. That's some great wisdom nuggets.
Yeah, and I never had the resources.
You never had the resources, but
No,
you
but
always, but you always had the drive, and you always made yourself resourceful.
absolutely, man. Being resourceful is priceless. Just think about it. That's how I tell like my friends that ask me, like, I mean, how do you find it? Just think about it. If you pull up to your favorite restaurant and you get to the meter, right? You want to put that quarter and you're out of quarters. You want to go in there and hang out with your friends at your favorite restaurant. I bet you will find a quarter in your car,
I bet you will find that quarter.
right?
Absolutely.
And that's how it is. And every time I try to find a way to find something, depends how bad you want it, we'll make it happen.
How bad do you want it? And you've accomplished a lot. So what are some of the things that you've accomplished and been awarded for?
Oh man. Well, I'm certified wine sommelier, and I was awarded for that. I wanted to always get that, and I got it. I served grade 6 years in the U.S. Army. I was in a combat unit, and I've been to all
Thank you
kind
for your
of
service.
awesome military schools, and I've had a whole bunch of medals and awards, more than and I could ever imagine.
Mhm.
My first year in business, I was no, it's last year, 2020, my second year in business, I was awarded on top lenders in Arkansas. Um, and
Congratulations. Yeah.
I never stop and look at all those, but like, all right, man, how are we gonna make it better next year? So I've had few of those, moments in my life, but it's always good.
Well, I know at least one that you have not mentioned that my wife and I were very impressed about, and that's you going into a rundown neighborhood and
That too.
pretty much buying the block and bringing the value. You brought the value back to a straight neighborhood that was a hood. Talk to us
Yeah,
about that.
man.
Talk to talk to us about the pimp house that you bought across the street and all that.
Man, I found me like the toughest neighborhood in Little Rock, where the corner where I am right now used to be a drop off and a stop for prostitutes and drug dealers. And I bought the first building, bought the second one on the corner, bought the one across the street, closed down on the intersection, and I started inviting each and every friend and coworker and investor and everybody to start flipping houses with me in this neighborhood. We were buying them for like $30 a square foot, man. $30, and now the prices are in the 100 in a matter of 2 years.
And now my again, you're not a millionaire.
No,
You didn't come
I
from a
did. I did a lot
millionaire
of the
family.
work. I did a lot of the work by hand, man. I bought my first building down here on a VA loan. That's a 0% down payment. There's a lot of 0% down payment loans out there. Anybody can get them too. But I bought this fourplex on a VA loan, and I worked it by hand. I renovated the building by hand. In a year and a half, went from 175 to $275,000 value.
You did that for your community.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. That's impressive, man. Kudos to you on that.
Now little kids stand on the corner, man. Little kids
Stand
stand
on,
on the corner and wait
stand
for the
on the
school
corner.
bus.
Yeah, in safety, and they're safe.
Hmm.
They feel
They
they
hang
feel.
out on my front porch, man. Kids waiting for the school.
That's awesome, man. So, how did you get to where you are now? Right now, where Rabih is, uh, how did you get? What was the journey? Well, I'm not gonna
Uh,
call it a journey. I'm gonna call it an adventure.
Man, I would say willpower. I would say first of all, hard work,
Mm-hmm.
not being scared of failing. Most people are always scared of failing. That's why they never try and they never go out. You know, never not scared of criticism, not scared of losing, not scared of being punched and getting back up. I think that's one of the biggest challenges that everybody have. And once you accept the fact that you know what, you're not the best at this, and there's always somebody who's gonna be better, but you're gonna give it your best, man. You're gonna if you know if you're gonna give it your best, what is your best, and are you really giving it your best? And like I ask myself this question all the time: if when I give it all I can give, what is all that I can give, and did I give this all that I can give when something fails? And then you can reevaluate, and you can be like, oh man, I should have tried this too. I did not take enough time to like think about it. So you know, and giving forward, you know, the more you give forward to the people that are around you and with you,
Mm-hmm.
your friends and family and coworkers and everybody that is surrounding you, the more you give, the more you're gonna get, man. It's a
And
fact.
I think that that's something too. A lot of guys don't understand is when you give, you receive more. When you give more, you receive more. I don't think they understand that when we hold our hands closed and just when we're stingy, we
You
hinder
gotta give
ourselves.
first.
Yeah, we hinder ourselves from receiving more, moving up more, being more prosperous, being more happy, and that's just something that we did. You know, is not talked about a lot because as men, we've just been taught to, work hard, earn a living, and we give. A lot of men do give. We do give because we give to our families, but you give outside of that. Uh,
Hmm.
what are
You
some?
have to, man.
Yeah. What are some things you've done outside of the family where you've given uh, any organizations or anything like that you've been a part of?
Man, I've helped a lot of my staff when I used to be in the restaurant business. My employees, I have helped them a lot financially, emotionally. Uh, helped them through their marriages and their finding houses. You know, I've had a lot of people over here as far as families, and I was able to help them out, giving them very cheap places to rent where I could be making like twice the income on certain properties. I'm giving it for dirt cheap just so that these people can get back on their feet and get back in society.
Yeah.
And that makes me very happy, man. That's what you're in business for at the end of the day. What would your legacy be?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. And legacy is should be the top of every man's mind. Like
Absolutely.
what are we doing? What am I doing to that will continue to be here when I'm gone? What difference will I make on earth that will still be here when I'm gone? And a lot of men, we when we think of legacy, a lot of men think it's just money. But legacy could be leaving a kind heart, making sure you put that out in the atmosphere that you had a kind heart or a giving heart, or making sure that you taught your sons or your daughters, or you empowered someone while you were here on the earth. A legacy is a lot of different things, and it's not just financial.
Oh yeah, man. It's never about money. You can always make more money, and there's always somebody making more money than you do.
That's the truth.
Shit.
That's the truth.
It's never about money.
On that note, what has been the best resource that have helped you along the way?
Uh,
If you had to just,
Well,
yeah, if you had to just pick one thing that you could just think about that was like a big push for you.
well, I would say my wife. She's like my best best friend, the best partner I could ever wish for, and she's the one that pushed me to get into mortgage, man. And I didn't want to get into mortgage, and she's the one that pushed me to get into it. And now she's so happy I did.
Yeah,
Uh,
I bet Katie is a she's a very very kind hearted and very nice uh, friend. I've been knowing her.
yes,
I think I knew her before I knew you.
yeah, you
Yeah,
have.
I think I don't think you guys were married when I met Katie,
I
or
don't know.
maybe you guys
No,
were.
we were. Yeah, we were.
Okay, you were just out off the scene, but you would come to
Yeah,
some of the events.
she's the face of this operation, man.
Of
It's a
course,
lot better like that.
trust me, I know all about it. I'm known in the streets as Trinette's husband. So, uh,
Hey, I'll take it.
yeah, so will I. She looks a whole lot better than I do, and she's very smarter than I am. So, I don't mind being called Trinette's husband. Yeah, but Katie is she's a rock star. So I can see how that being a your best resource. That's why you married her too.
Yeah,
Uh,
man.
who are the three people who have been most influential to you on your journey? I know we're gonna say Katie.
Yeah, but it's a little hard to put them all in three. Like she's one of them, and you're one of them. My CEO is one of them. My old boss slash mentor is one of them. I'm going to see him in Atlanta as well next week. uh, I'm inspired by people that understand the true value of human relationships, and you know
Yeah.
uh, that's really uh, it's very hard for me to put them all in three. Oof.
Well, you just mentioned something that's very, very key. So, and you do a very good job of this. And you said relationships. How important is it for men to have relationships? Like, why is that so important? Great relationships.
Man, it's all about people. In life, if you practice it in life, you can take it to business, you can take it to your house. It's people, process, product. If you've ever seen the show with Marcus Lemonis, that's what he says.
Oh yeah,
But it's so true.
free peas.
People, process, product. I grew up
Yeah,
in the restaurant business, and it's all about people. If you know how to treat people and understand people. One thing I learned and used to teach my managers every time I hired a new manager in a restaurant or bar, I used to tell them like, "Hey, man, in 1 week, I want you to know 3 things about each and every person that works in this business. And if by the end of this week you could not, this business is not for you."
I remember you telling me, sharing that with
I
me.
mean, for real though, if,
Yeah,
if you can't really relate to people, you're gonna fail. You have to be able to relate to people and be able to start relationships and be able to talk and conversate and be able to see through people. It's imperative that anybody can harness that skill.
yeah. So, what advice would you give another brother, a man that's watching this podcast, uh, that wants to pursue some of the things that you're doing, investing, the mortgage business, being a husband? that's a that's a career. uh,
Yeah, man.
what what advice would you give them?
Uh, Man, first I'll say, and I've always lived my life like that, and it's a great saying. And I think I've told you this before when we were like hanging out and uh, talking. You'll never know how tall you are until you're underwater and everything you want to do.
Yeah,
So, and that's how I've tried to live through everything, every opportunity, every investment, every little thing. I try to go all in. Because if you don't, it's not worth even trying. You either go all in, and I mean, if your job is to sweep the floor, better have the most beautiful, cleanest, best looking floors ever. If your job is to cook cheeseburgers, better be like the best cheeseburger ever created. If your job is to make a mortgage, better be like the most impeccable loan you've ever done per item, per person. And I think just if everybody practices that by small steps, man, everything they do, be the best at everything they can.
Yeah, man, those are some great tips, man. And I love the one that you said about under the water. I got that one posted up in my truck that you told me a long time ago. You know, you never know how what is it? How smart you are until you're under.
How tall you are.
How tall you are until you're underwater.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So
it's true.
It's very true. Very true, because we don't. You know, it's easy to get out of 3 feet of water if you're 5 feet tall. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anybody can.
Unless you're 2 feet.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. What's one thing that you wish you had known when you began your career?
Probably, and it was hard for me, very hard for me to like figure this out. But I think one thing I wish I have never done is like worry a lot about what people would probably think. You know, it was a whole new industry for me. Don't forget, I mean, I come from no education. I don't have a degree. I never wanted education. Walked into an industry where everybody is got a degree, got this, got that. I never had a computer job in my life. I hate computers, man. And I don't know how I'm working on computers, to be honest with you. If I'm not talking to people, I would have quit this job a long time ago. But you know, I was worried about what somebody would think about me, especially going into a whole new career. I was like a fish out of the water. Mm-hmm. And I think not worrying about anything is a gift, and I was able to harness that after a few months in the business, and that's when everything switched for me. And as well, not wanting to work with everybody. I wanted to work with everybody, get every loan out there on the market, and I was like, that's just stupid, that's terrible. And I started working with terrible people, and I was like, this is not for me, man. I gotta pick and choose who I work with, and that's when my business took off.
Yeah. So you may mention about something. I want you to share the story that you share with me. Someone reached out to you to mentor their son, and ask you. Tell that story. Tell that story.
Man, that was a great situation. The gentleman I was doing a loan for, he is a CEO of a CFO of a company, and he was very impressed with the process. I mean, he's older. He's nearing retirement age, so he's had multiple mortgages in his life. So we decided to do this mortgage for him, and throughout the process, he was very pleased. At the end, he's like, "Man, when one of my sons come back from college this year for summer vacation, I want him to come and hang out with you, and you teach him everything you learned in college and how you got to where you are." I'm like, "Man, never been to college," and that opened up a whole new story. The guy was very impressed because I work in finance and I'm doing a great job at what I do.
Hold on now. Hold on. So I got to stop you. So how many loans did you close last year?
217.
217. What was the volume of that?
43 million.
$43 million. You've been a loan officer for 2 years, right? Yeah. You're ranked number what in your company?
I'm in the top 10 probably in the company.
So you were just in a magazine ranked as one of the top loan officers in Arkansas. Is that?
Yep.
Okay. And then you come back and then you say you have no college degree. Like that had to blow his mind. Like, what's the highest education you've had?
I got out from high school, man. I got kicked out from 3 different high schools. I could not sit in a classroom. That was not for me. I'm either like fighting with somebody or fighting with the teacher or jumping over the fence and running out of school. I mean, I was just not for me, man. I went crazy. I could not do it.
So this is crazy. So you have dismissed the myth that you have to have college degrees to be successful. And
Absolutely not.
the reason I love your story is because my story is similar. I graduated.
I know.
I graduated with a 1.8 cumulative GPA. Cumulative. And the only reason I was going to school is to just to finish, so my parents, wouldn't be tripping. But and I've been successful in a lot of things, thanks to, of course, the good Lord, and then just my hard work and my personal development. Go ahead and finish the story, but I wanted to make sure that I broke that down and they understood all of that. You had somebody asking you to mentor
Yeah.
their son. What was his comeback? I mean,
He's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, man. He's like, and literally he's like, dude, I could never tell. I'm like, what's the difference? What's the difference? When I was running my I was running like a $16 million restaurant operation, over 200 employees. Every person that I hired had a degree. I was making 3 times more than they did.
every person you hired had a degree except you.
Yep. My managers, my general managers, my assistant managers, everybody. And that's what where people focus a lot, that I need a degree. I mean, are you trying to be a doctor? If you're going to be a doctor, I mean, that's fine. But hey, do you really need that degree? I get a lot of people in my job with like thousands, and
I know plenty of guys that's got degrees that's not happy, not working in what they got a degree in, and
yeah,
they're not fulfilled. And I'm all for education. Education is great, and it, like you stated, is all depend on what you're going to school for.
hmm
Because it's a lot of people that's going to school or have went to school and have wasted a lot of money, and now
yeah,
they're in debt. They're in a lot of debt, and so, man,
that's it, man. Like,
that is such an awesome
their
story.
debt is outstanding, man.
And
Like,
I
they
know
have a lot of debt, and that's
you
the
see a
problem.
lot of that. You see a lot of that with the job that you have.
Absolutely, it scares me. I'm like, wow, sometimes
What's the largest amount of debt you've seen?
eight hundred thousand dollars combined for a couple.
Wow, 800 grand. Wow,
Yeah,
wow,
yeah,
that's a lot of money. That's
hmm
a lot of money.
yeah.
Uh, so we're gonna move into. So that was talking about your career and all of that, and some of the things that you've accomplished on that level. Let's go into the man side. What's your biggest failure as a man, and what did you learn from it? What was your biggest failure, and what did you learn from it? Because
Uh,
as we look at failures are not bad if you've learned a lesson.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
I
what I
have
tell a lot
plenty
of
of those.
people. Mistakes are great learning experiences if you're honest with yourself.
Yeah,
That's the most important part.
yeah.
Um, Man, this one's. I think also my biggest failure as a man is really worrying about what people think. That's what it is. That's what really is. If I am to really think deep about it,
Mm-hmm.
I've failed a lot in business and failed from one to the other, just like very happily from every situation to the other one. But failing as a grown up, as a man, that I was worried what people will think about me or would say about me, or what will especially going into this new venture.
Mm-hmm.
uh, because I was not young going into it. I was right off the street going into it as well. I had no idea what I'm doing. I did not have the setup or anything really, but I got fortunate with great friends in this business that really took me under their wings, and that's why I'm successful right now. But it's you know worrying what people will think about me if I did a mistake. And that's when I start doing mistakes.
Yeah.
That's when I start really failing.
Yeah.
And when I stopped
You shift
that,
the focus. Yeah.
when I stopped worrying about that, that's when everything changed in my life.
Yeah. And
Everything.
I can recall us being at the coffee shop and this guy came in and he was just barking at us about,
That's right.
and you were just like, wasn't even phased. He was just like, it was just like business as usual. And I watched how you handle that. And those, to go back to your point, you were just like, was he talking to me? I didn't even know he was.
I did not even notice the negative energy, man,
Yeah.
which is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like,
but that
this really just happened.
That goes to show you, though, that your growth in that area, how, and this is why you are successful. This is why you are happy. This is why you are accomplishing a lot in your personal life, because you have accepted that I can't care about what everybody else feel about me.
Yeah.
And
just be humble and gracious in everything that you do, no matter what. I think you'll always be happy.
What is one of the biggest failures? No, we already talked about that. What's a common myth about manhood that you would like to debunk?
Oh man, I think I was
because manhood comes with no manual. They don't give us a manual when we become a man. And so what is something that you were told that now is no longer, you feel like it's no longer true?
That men can solve everything.
That's a good one.
I think that's one of the biggest myth out there, that they can do everything. I can do all this by myself, and I can do this, and I can do that. All that is just a myth, man. Nobody can do it alone, ever.
You know what though, Robbie? I don't think men will understand that if they're not trying to do nothing. I think only men who go after doing things learn that I can't do everything as a man.
And this is where you hear it the most. When you go to these bars and you see this, that's what I used to call them, the bar stool warriors.
Bar stool warrior.
I swear, when I was in the restaurant business, they will go in there and they will sit and they will just start talking about everything they are doing. I am doing this and I am doing that and I do this and I do that. And I was like, well, you're at the bar every day for 3-4 hours, bro. You're not.
You're not.
You're not.
Unless someone is doing it for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what I used to call the bar stool warriors.
Bar stool warriors.
It cracks me up, man. And you can see it every time you go to a bar. You're gonna see one of those bar stool warriors sitting there, waiting for somebody to say, "What's going on, man?" And they will start telling you how great they are. And man, it's one of the funniest things you will see. And then you'd be like, okay, well, I can tell exactly how much this guy has in his bank account right now.
Wow.
Yeah. Which is hilarious, man.
Yeah.
I have a little picture frame in my office. It says, you've seen it too. It says, people ask me, I don't see you at the bar. And then I said, I don't see you at the bank, which makes a lot of sense because I work at the bank too, right? But I've always known that saying, and now I'm proud they put it in my office, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So true. I love it. I don't see you at the bar, but I don't see you at the bank.
I know, bro. I work there every day.
Yeah.
Where are you at?
Yeah. So what advice would you give as a man? What's the great? Well, let me say this. What's the greatest piece of advice you have gotten as a man? Now you've shot off a lot of quotes. I mean, I got a lot of things wrote down over here that you've already said.
Man.
But me and you have talked, and we are big on quotes and things like that, things of that nature. But what's the greatest piece of advice you've given you've been given to as a man?
Man, one of the best advices I was given to by my old boss is it was very 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 simple. Buy real estate and start businesses. To be honest with you,
Just like that.
and it works. And if you start thinking about that, and starting business is the way to become free from everything, and that's how you create your own fortune. Because a lot of people be like, hey man, this guy got lucky. No, this guy's fortunate to have that, and fortune comes from hard work. There's a big difference.
Hmm.
There's a very big difference when people start saying like, hey, uh, you know this guy is so lucky to have this and so lucky to have that, and he got lucky here and got lucky there. No, nobody ever got there by getting lucky.
Hmm.
I don't know anybody who won the lottery ticket.
Yeah.
Everybody I know got there from hard work. Hard work does pay off too.
Yeah.
Uh, if you stay humble and focus on your uh, power of will, and I have a vision board. How many people have a vision board, and they look at it and they see everything that's on it, and they think about it, they dream on it, they plan every quarter, they plan every month, they plan every year,
Mhm.
um, decide how they want their life to be. You know,
Yeah.
that's
Vision is very important. And if a man doesn't have vision, he's blind.
Mhm.
And we know it's hard for blind men to see.
I'm reading this new book, and there's a little sentence in it that says, "Be less impressed and more involved."
Mm.
And
Mm.
I'm like, dude, that's crazy, because everybody like they're like, oh wow, I just finished all this, versus like, hey, how can I get better at this? Even though it seems to be great for a lot of people, but I know exactly how I did it, and I want to get better at it next time. I want to be able to uh, make it scalable and repeatable every time I do it,
Mhm.
and spread it. That's
So
how I like to operate.
the advice you just said was very plain, very simple. How many investment properties do you currently you and your wife currently own now?
I think we have a total of like 12, 14.
And then you just made a purchase. You got a farm. How many acres is that?
Started with 30 acres, and we're building the house on it.
And you're gonna have what on there?
Starting with a sheep farm
And a butcher shop.
and a butcher shop in town.
So it sounds like to me that advice is working, and
Man, it works.
you have taken it to heart, and you and I both know it works. It
Absolutely, man.
definitely works. Um, so this podcast is for men, of course. What would you say to encourage a brother who is listening to this podcast, who feels like he don't have the money, he don't have the education, he don't have what he think he should have, the materialistic things that he think he should have, or the world tell us that we should have to be successful? What do you tell that guy that's watching this
Well,
video right now, who's depressed? He feel like he's at wit's end, and he feel like
that's the thing. For about two and a half, for about 3 years, I worked two full-time jobs and a part-time. 2006, 2007, 2008. So I wanted to get there, and I worked hard for it so I can make the money and get there. So if and that's not because I said that like I should have this. I put it as a must. I must have this, and I must do this, and I must be like that.
mm.
I created the person that I want to be 10 years ago.
And to put a pin right there, because that is so powerful, and people don't understand. And we're talking about men, but people in general don't understand how powerful their words are. You changing that one word, I must, from I want,
From I
is a
should to
game
I
changer.
must.
It's a game changer.
Absolutely, man.
It's a game changer. The way you look at life and the things that you want to acquire in life, if it's an I must have versus I want to have, no wonder you're successful like you are.
Absolutely. And it works, man. I'm no better than anybody else.
Wow.
It does work.
Yeah.
I mean, people, come into my office, they're like, man, you're here at 6 o'clock in the morning, and at 7 o'clock at night, I'm still at the office sometimes. I'm working it. You
Mhm.
know, it don't come easy.
Yeah.
I am working it. People think you're working banker's hours, and I'm pulling like 10, 12 hours, 13 hours a day, working on the weekends, taking calls on the weekends, all day, every day. And, you know, because I had bigger goals.
Yeah.
And this is just a job that's going to get me to where I want to be, my personal goals. A lot of people are scared of working. They want more free time and more this and more that. No, you're never going to get there.
Yeah.
That's the biggest myth that you know, I can only work this much per week, and I can only do this, and I can only do that. 40 hours a week, that was like my first part-time job, and working construction,
Working
digging
construction.
holes in the streets.
Yeah. Who is your favorite? What is? I know you got a lot of favorites, so I'm not gonna say who's your favorite. Um, what's the best book you've read? What book you've read that made the greatest impact in your life?
Man, it was the Magic Ladder to Success for Napoleon Hill. I read that book and went and bought my first investment property in 2014.
The Magic to Success.
Magic Ladder to Success.
Magic Ladder to Success.
Yep.
Okay.
That's how I went and bought my first investment property in 2014.
And you've been buying them ever since.
Yeah. Buy them, sell them, rent them, flip them, you know,
Yeah.
pass them on to family members at whatever, you know, that's, yeah. But it was that book. Napoleon Hill's books are the ones that changed my life.
Napoleon Hill is a great author.
Yep.
Great author. So we've come to the point to where we play my game, and it's called the one word game.
Let's do it.
And I didn't send you these words because I didn't want you to think on them. I just want to catch you off guard. And so you tell me what pops in your head when you hear these words. Can you hear me?
I do.
Okay. Manhood.
Power.
Legacy.
History.
Relationship.
Love.
Husband.
Wife.
Adventure.
Experience.
Okay. So that was easy for you. You'd be surprised of the guys that have to sit and think about that. So I appreciate you for playing that. So how can our listeners find you?
Man, you can just you can probably find me on my Facebook. You can pick up the phone and give me a call. My phone number is on my Facebook page. I have my own mortgage page. It's called www.theateammortgage.com, and I'm easy to find. If you can access the internet, you can find anybody you want.
You can find anybody you want. Absolutely. Well, man, I appreciate. It's been a joy to have you on the show.
Man.
We finally got it done. You have shared a lot of great insight that I know that's going to help our men, the men that's listening. You always help me every time I talk to you.
You too, man.
You are a joy, and I'm grateful to have you as a friend and a brother.
Of course, bro.
Yeah. Are there any last things you would like to say before we get out of here? To the brother.
No, man. Just stay focused. That's it.
Stay focused. It's plain and simple.